Hello, and welcome to the second video for the online training modules for Odyssey Inclusive coaches. Before you attend a live training session, we ask that you complete all 5 brief modules that provide Odyssey Inclusive coaches with important information about the program before beginning your coaching journey. My name is Dr. Lynn Larson, and I am the program developer and director for Odyssey Inclusive. I'll be guiding you through the 5 modules, and I'm always available to answer any questions you may have. Each state hosting Odyssey Inclusive also has a program coordinator who will be your main point of contact this season. Each year, Odyssey Inclusive adapts a former Odyssey of the Mind long-term problem as the base for the team's performance. To understand the nature of the problems we select from, here's a brief overview of the types of OM problems that are offered each year. Odyssey of the Mind provides 6 competitive long-term problems with subject matter varying from the technical to the artistic to the classical. You can see each year's problem synopses on the Odyssey of the Mind website. If you go to odysseyofthemind.com, click on Teams, Current Problem Synopses. The types of problems are as follows. Problem 1 is vehicle. Teams design, build, and operate one or more vehicles. Sometimes they're small, other times they're big enough to ride on and transport team members or other items. Generally, the vehicles are scored on their propulsion system and for traveling and completing different tasks. Problem 2 is technical or performance. Teams are scored for performance elements as well as for some type of technical achievement. Usually, this problem requires the team to create one or more devices that perform certain functions. Problem 3 is all about classics. This is a performance-based problem on something classical. It could involve mythology, art, music, archaeology, or anything else that is classical. Problem 4 are structure teams. These teams design and build a structure out of only balsa wood and glue. They test the structure by adding Olympic-sized weights until it breaks. Each year, there is an element of the problem that sets it apart from other years. And performance. This is a strictly performance problem where scoring is based on the performance and elements within the performance. It sometimes requires a specific character, sometimes humor, sometimes other original elements, but it's always fun. And then primary. There is a problem written specifically for OMers in kindergarten through 2nd grade. A past problem 5 has been adapted for Odyssey Inclusive for the 24-25 season. The general theme for this year's problem is our amazing animal friends. This season, your team can explore emotions and how different people and animals might view and solve problems together. Would they swim upstream, take a bird's eye view? Many types of wildlife demonstrate unique traits to survive. Sometimes they work together in packs, pods, and flocks. Sometimes even predator and prey work together on the same team to survive. In this problem, your team will show emotions, problem solving, and teamwork from the point of view of different animals and people. Every Odyssey Inclusive team must adhere to a clearly stated cost limit, which is $135. This is the amount that the teams cannot exceed as they create all the elements in their long-term problem solution, such as props, scenery, and costumes. The long-term problem provides teams an opportunity to solve a fun problem as creatively as possible by presenting a performance that lasts approximately 10 to 15 minutes. Odyssey Inclusive teams select one of the 3 script options for the Odyssey Inclusive problem, which are described in a little more detail in just a bit. The long-term problem directions provide teams with specific details to guide them towards a solution that meets all scored categories while allowing for creativity and individuality. Teams work together on their long-term performance the entire season and then present their solution in a 10 to 15-minute performance before trained judges on tournament day. It's very important that the coach and team review the long-term problem details and scoring categories frequently during the season to make sure their performance includes all that it's supposed to, particularly for teams writing their own script. It might be helpful to have a copy of the current long-term problem with you as we go through this section. It will definitely help all these elements make more sense. So feel free to pause the video, grab your long-term problem details, and then come back and hit play. All right, all set. Let's take a look at what is included in the problem. The problem is the section that provides a broad overview of the problem and the creative emphases for the performance. And then there's a section on general information for all teams. Program rules reminds coaches of the importance of reading the program guide and adhering to all Odyssey Inclusive program rules. Problem clarifications, questions about the program and the current problem can be directed to the National Program Director, and there's information about how to do that in the problem details. The time limit, teams in Odyssey Inclusive are encouraged to keep their performances between 10 and 15 minutes. They can go a bit longer if they're adhering to their script, but in order to keep teams on schedule and so on, we'd really like those performances to stay within 10 to 15 minutes. Cost limit, the problem details will always have information about the cost limit, and as was mentioned, all Odyssey Inclusive teams should spend no more than $135 on their performance. Teams in Odyssey Inclusive. This section of the problem details provide details about who can be on an Odyssey Inclusive team. We encourage teams that are inclusive, which means students with and without disabilities on a team, but that is definitely not a requirement. We do ask that at least 50% of the team members have identified disabilities. There are no age divisions in Odyssey Inclusive, so teams can be made up of students with different ages and from different grades. And we do provide some flexibility on the 50% as well. So if you have a situation that's, where a team is not 50% of the team on, have identified disabilities, please reach out to your program coordinator and we can have a conversation about that. The section on performance options gives information about the 3 script performance options available to Odyssey Inclusive teams. Please note that any script option can be altered to meet the needs of the team as long as scored elements are not eliminated or negatively affected. And we're going to talk about those 3 options in a bit more detail in just a minute. The performance requirements section of the problem provides the important details that must be included in every Odyssey Inclusive performance. These are the scored categories. These elements have been built into the script options, but teams have flexibility to address them as creatively as they wish. The elements range from required characters, events during the performance, required style elements, and so on, which give teams the opportunities to showcase their individual creativity. In Odyssey Inclusive, the style elements are provided to teams and they can address them as creatively as they wish. We're going to talk a lot more about style in the next module of this training, so hang tight for that. The next section of the problem details talk about tournament paperwork. This section provides a list of the paperwork that is required to be completed by the team before the tournament and submitted to the staging judge just before their performance begins. The team should fill out the paperwork to the greatest extent possible with support from coaches as needed. Paperwork will be addressed in much greater detail in the tournament day module of this training, and we'll also have a paperwork webinar closer to tournament time. Performance area and cleanup section of the problem provides information about the minimum size of the performance area that your team will have, and a reminder to clean up any mess that you make during your performance. Performance feedback, this section outlines the scoring categories for the performance and how coaches will receive that feedback. It's important for the team to review these scoring categories often to make sure their performance includes all scored areas. Every performance option includes basic costume, prop, and scenery ideas. In addition, all Odyssey Inclusive teams have the opportunity to perform their long-term and participate in an appropriately accommodated spontaneous problem at an Odyssey of the Mind regional or state tournament. All team members will be awarded a participation medal. For more information about the tournament, please see the tournament module and also reach out to your program coordinator to find out where and when your tournament will take place. All right, so let's take a look at those script options. Option 1. This is where the entire script or story is provided for the team, and all of the score categories are built into that script and story. Either a narrator will read the script and story while the team members act out the play, or team members can read or speak their lines if they can memorize them. Team members can participate through any communication means and physically as appropriate. Basic props, costumes, and scenery ideas will be provided to the teams, and they can make those and participate in making those to the greatest extent possible. So that's option 1, where they're given the entire script or story. Team option 2. This is where the key words have been removed from the script or story. Team members, with assistance as appropriate, choose which words will be included in their script. And then, once that's complete, either a narrator will read the script or story while team members act out the play, or team members can read or speak their lines if they have them memorized. Team members can participate through any communication means and physically as appropriate. And as always, basic ideas for props, scenery, and costumes are provided. So, an important note here about the role of the narrator if you choose to have a narrator for your team's performance. Options 1 and 2 allow for a narrator to read the script or story as team members act out the play, with options for team members to participate vocally through assistive technology or other communication means, or through actions wherever possible. The narrator, while not a scored character, can have a significant impact on the performance. So it's important to choose a narrator who is able to work with the team at every practice and for the performance. Their narrator could be a coach, a parent, a team member, or a student without disabilities. So pick that person carefully. All right, moving on to script option 3. This is where a script outline is provided to the team, and then team members work together to write the script for a 10 to 15-minute performance that includes all of the elements described in the problem details. And then at the tournament, teams perform their script with support as appropriate. If you're familiar with Odyssey of the Mind, a unique aspect of the program is that all elements of the solution, from ideas to the finished product, must be the work of team members only. Odyssey of the Mind participants develop self-confidence when they solve the problem and create their solution as much as possible by themselves. This could include creating costumes, writing the script, applying makeup, styling hair, and so on. A unique aspect of Odyssey Inclusive is that coaches, parents, and students without disabilities can provide assistance as appropriate in the creation of elements related to the performance and during the performance. An important thing to remember is that we want the Odyssey Inclusive team members to do whatever they can to contribute to the writing the play, acting, singing, and creating any props, scenery, costumes, hairstyles, and so on. It will be critical for coaches, parents, and students without disabilities to encourage Odyssey Inclusive team members to participate to their fullest extent possible. Everyone who participates in Odyssey Inclusive is definitely a winner for their effort and enthusiasm. The goal is for the team members to learn and to show how creative they can be. Amazingly, the team members are likely to be much more creative than the adults, so we need to let them do as much as possible. All right, so you have now finished the second module for the Odyssey Inclusive Coach Training, all about the long-term problem and providing appropriate assistance. As always, your state's Odyssey Inclusive Program Coordinator is your main point of contact for the season, but you definitely can reach out to me anytime at odysseyinclusive@odysseyofthemind.com. We are going to have those live coaching sessions, so please reach out to your program coordinator for dates and times and registration information. And as a reminder, we have that 10-week coaching plan in our Odyssey Inclusive Coach Passport, which provides an outline of activities you can do for long-term style and spontaneous, backwards planning 10 weeks from your tournament. Please do check out our Odyssey Inclusive website, which we have more information. So your next steps are to take the short content quiz via Google Forms, which is linked on the PDF version of this section's materials, just a quick check for understanding. Then you're ready to move on to section 3, which is all about style. Thank you so much for being interested in Odyssey Inclusive and wanting to be a coach. I'm super excited to be working with you, and I can't wait to see what your team can do this season.